Unless you've been at home furiously beating your meat for days like Will Smith when his wife is getting piped by other men, you would know that he was actually busy slapping Chris Rock at the Oscars this week. I'm gonna be honest, I'd have never known the Oscars went down if this never happened. The Oscars have been getting less and less relevant each year, kinda like Will in his own marriage. Before we dive into the rest of this controversy, much like younger men dive into Jada, let's get a quick word from the sponsor of today's video.
Cock.
First of all, some context. Jada decided to completely shave her head last year because she's been suffering from alopecia. She's been losing her hair involuntarily, a bit like Will and his wife's vagina. In his joke, Chris Rock makes reference to G.I. Jane, an old movie about a female Navy SEAL with a shaved head. I've never seen the movie, but you don't have to be a genius to get the reference. A lot of people criticize Chris, and I can see where they're coming from when they say Jada's insecure about her hair loss. But so are many men who are going bald. A vast majority of men who go bald actually do so because of a condition called, wait for it, androgenetic alopecia. But we still make fun of bald men all the time. Personally, I think Will should consider Jada's hair loss a blessing. The next August that walks through the door doesn't have to take any bush into consideration before eating her out. An interesting thing about this whole situation is that Will was visibly laughing at the joke at first, but it seems he decided to do what he did after noticing Jada wasn't too happy with it. Kinda explains why he's never rolled on August and smacked him in the face. Jada was enjoying herself that time. Now I understand Will's reaction completely. I understand the desire to defend your woman's honor when someone talks shit about them. But this isn't some random run-in on the streets. This is an award show where comedians are hired to roast the celebrities in attendance all the time. People have been bringing up this argument of freedom of speech isn't freedom from consequence. But if a comedian fears getting assaulted for doing their job, that isn't really freedom of speech, is it? We live in a civilized society. Pull the comedian to the side when they get off stage, explain to them what offended you about their joke, and go from there. If you're not trying to get roasted, don't come to the show and don't publicize your absence like Jada did in 2016 before Chris joked about her in those Oscars. If you have to come to the show, don't take the same front row seat that Will takes to watch another man teach him how to please his wife sexually. People have also been talking about Will reaching a breaking point with all the jokes and memes that have come out since that Red Table Talk episode. But he and especially Jada pretty much brought that ridicule on themselves. No one forced them to publicize their love lives on the internet.
Now, know to do what we do, you got to be able to take abuse. You got to be able to have people talk crazy about you. In this business, you got to be able to have people disrespecting you. And you gotta smile and you gotta pretend like that's okay.
The only thing that can make me feel sympathy for Will is the likely case that he's been going through some shit over the last few years with all that ridicule. He looks shakier in his acceptance speech than Jada's legs after a good pounding from the gardener. If you watch his entire speech, the crowd gives him a standing ovation when he's announced as the winner, and then another one after his speech where he alludes to God, calling on him to be a vessel for love, despite having just committed an act of violence. For me, that and the fact that so many people have defended it on social media just shows me society's tripping harder than Jada was after that good pounding from the gardener because her legs were so shaky. Another interesting thing about this controversy is that Will himself made fun of a bald man on the Arsenio Hall show back in 1991.
So they got rules. They got rules. Like he has a rule. The bass player, he got a rule. He got to wax his head every morning. That's a rule. He follows the rules, man. He follows the rules. Oh, these are jokes. Come on.
To be fair to Will, it's worth noting that for one, the man he makes fun of in that clip is a bass player called John B. Williams, who does not suffer from alopecia. He says his hair was thinning possibly due to treatment he received as a child for measles, and one day he just shaved it all off like Jada did before August went in and tore it up. The second difference here is that in that clip, Williams himself is the target of the joke, not his wife. Again, Will's reaction is understandable, but it's still not justified at all, especially when you consider the context of his marriage to Jada. Or lack thereof, if we're being honest. If all of that wasn't enough, the Academy then released a statement condemning the slap and announcing that the, quote, started a formal review around the incident and will explore further action and consequences in accordance with our bylaws, standards of conduct, and California law. This is the same academy that's given Oscars to Harvey Weinstein and has never revoked them. The same academy that gave an Oscar in 2002 to Roman Polanski, who fled the US in 1978 and has been hiding in France ever since after being convicted of sexually abusing a minor. As much as Will Smith was wrong for what he did and he definitely should be held accountable, the Academy has no moral high ground to do anything severe like taking away his Oscar. Though if they're going to be the embodiment of hypocrisy, they couldn't have picked a better person to give an award than a man passionate about keeping his wife's name out of other people's mouths, but not keeping their dicks out of hers. After all the backlash, Will finally put out an apology on his socials, which I'll admit was pretty solid, except for one line where he says, quote, "I am embarrassed and my actions were not indicative of the man I want to be." For me, that line simply serves no purpose, much like Will himself when Jada's having a sexual encounter. As a comedian, this is obviously a topic of interest to me. I shouldn't have to keep my guard up on stage every time I tell a joke because someone might deck me in the jaw. Only situation I can think of where that would be acceptable is Jada on her knees getting abused by August before he shoves his dick down her throat. Don't forget to leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this. Check out the link in the description for links to the rest of my social media, and yeah. I'll see you guys in the next one.
Buddha me say rapper, still finna hit you with that 16. Shake up the mic and spray these bars like it's whipped cream. I'm dropping bombs like Ugandans on that big screen. Niggas all about the dripping purple like that Android 15. Have you laughing on the tube? Call me Clark Kent, I'm changing up these flows up in the booth. Chapodondo and some juice. In Nairobi all we do is win or hustle, never lose.